mistake that I'm trying to change it now.
No, I meant like, it doesn't read the same as the tabs, right? I'll try and keep it That would have been a cool view.
We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We're queer and straight together, we shall not be moved. We're queer and straight together, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
so much to get to, it's going to be crazy. Good luck.
The man hasn't left really early, or I must have been really late.
No, we've got away on time, I think.
Oh yeah, to freedom land.
Oh, you can smile. Yeah, that's good. Anyway, have a good day.
Yes, you too. Thanks, dear.
Many stones can form an arch, singly none, and by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, step by step the longest march can be won, many stones can form an arch, singly none, and by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, the longest march can be won, many stones can form an arch, singly none, union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none.
The Democrats music.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
I don't think there's a massive turnout this year compared to last.
The weather's bad.
The weather.
Yeah.
I want to make a wild. That is so great.
I'm going to work out the coffee behind me.
shall not be moved. Married or de facto, demand the right to choose. Married or de facto, demand the right to choose. Just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Together we shall not be moved. We'll stay together. Standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
We have by Adelaide. They're all out of order now, that's why it's in my notes, but that doesn't matter. The fabulous entry, the young mermaids going to planet Earth. From Women's Health Statewide, Bernadette and Company. Give them a big round of applause. Look at that fabulous mermaid that's created during the make-out workshop. We have Bev and Baz on the nose. Don't forget to Marion Cultural Festival. Have everybody's group carrying the biggest rainbow flag so far in Adelaide. Thank you to Feast for providing this. They're also carrying the end, which suggests that this is the end of the second fabulous Pride March Adelaide 2004. Thank goodness the rain held off. Thank goodness the sun came out. Just before we end, a few quick thank yous to Feast for their participation in the system. To the Pride March Adelaide committee who worked all year to help you put this together. To our fabulous make-out designer Ian Robinson and Dee as well, who helped create all these wonderful creations, especially the Pride March Adelaide lead entry. We need to thank our sponsors and supporters, the Blaze Media team, Gay and Lesbian Counselling Service and the AIDS Council of South Australia. Thank you all for participating. I'm now going to hand it over to Nikki and Fanny, who are going to tell you what's happening next. Thank you very much. Have a fabulous feast.
Margie Fisher and Jason Walsh for Car Crash. Thank you very much. Thanks very much to our dedicated festival production staff, production manager Kerry Ireland and production consultant Chris Eiley, who have worked hard under extremely trying conditions and produced this absolutely beautiful, marvellous stage and fantastic show for you tonight. Thank you very much, Chris. And now the traditional thanks to all the Feast volunteers. All of you volunteers, I want to say this to you personally. You have been fantastic all the way through the year and are now pulling out all the stops to make the festival happen in great and beautiful ways. Thanks for all of your work. I would like you to know how much I appreciate everything that you have done and everything you do, and also getting to know you this year and last. You've been so supportive and given so much of yourselves to the festival and to me personally. And so, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to say thank you very much. Thanks to all the volunteers. Some very, very special thank yous to people who give 110% of their energy to make sure that life in Adelaide is as queer as it can be. They include the one and only Margie Fisher, Ian Purcell. Thanks to the whole Pride March team, what a wonderful spectacle you have created. Thank you to Scott McGuinness and the Blaze team. Thank you to Barry Horwood and the teams at Darling House. Thank you to everyone at the Second Story, Befriend, and all the other organisations that support queer culture and think outside the square. I'd like to say thank you to our wonderful publicist, Kristen Messenger. Chris has pulled out all the stops this year to make sure that the whole world knows about our festival. And I would like personally to thank her for the amazing work that she's done. And finally, I would like to thank the Feast team, the Feast General Manager Rowan Shern, the Office Administrator Peter Coombs, the Volunteer Coordinator Brian North, and all of the voluntary staff who have contributed so much to the running of the office. Thank you all for your hard work in ensuring that the festival is the wondrous beast that it is. Tonight, thanks to all the artists who are contributing their talents to entertain you, and our beautiful MC, Nikki Wheeland, who is gracefully gracing our stage with her broken ankle. Anya Nikki. And now I know that you're ready to carry on partying, and so nothing remains for me but for me to wish you all a very safe and happy feast. Enjoy your festival.
I'm waiting.
Oh, gotcha.
Wow, brilliant timing. We're hoping the fireworks should be going.
They're meant to be. Well, it's a surprise. Fanny?
For them to give it up for Fanny Jacobson, who is just the most incredible woman. And there's your surprise. They're the stalwarts of the community, and they're also experiencing fantastic success with their TV show Get Tucked. Okay, but we know them best as Fifi and Rochelle from the Mars Bar. So once the fireworks disdain, they'll be up on stage. Fifi and Rochelle.
Oh yeah, you want to help me? That'll make me really.
I was going to say.
Gonna take it the way that I found it. I got the music in me. 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 Woo! They say that life is a circle, but that ain't the way that I found it. I'm gonna move in a straight line, keeping my feet firmly on the ground. I heat up, I cool down. Something gets in my way, I go round it. Don't let life get me down. Gonna take it the way that I found it. I got the music in me. 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 Feel funky, feel good. Trying to tell you I'm in the neighborhood. Gonna fly like a bird on a wing. Hold on to your hand, honey. Sing, 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 sing. I heat up, I cool down. Something gets in my way, I go round it. Don't let life get me down. Gonna take it the way that I found it. I got the music in me. I got the music in me. I got the music in me. Sing along. I got the music in me. 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 One more time. I got the music.
Come in and listen to some of the speakers. Maybe it's better not to name names. You should come into Parliament for yourself and listen. But it's appalling to see some of to witness the homophobia in some of the speeches. Some of them are virtually too scared. Too scared. Well, the squeaky oil. What is it? The squeaky oil gets the wheel. But you know, some of them are virtually afraid to say gay, and you can usually tell the ones that are most scared of it because of the way they say homosexual. You know, they have to distance themselves from the word as they say it. So look, the standard is appalling, especially those that kid themselves when they're talking about, oh, why shouldn't these laws just apply to, you know, everyone that lives together and sort of shares a bank account and that sort of stuff? That, you know, they're just trying to gloss over the real issue, which is for gay people who are together to have the same protections as everybody else.
I think Chris is being rather kind in what he says, especially about some of my colleagues. The member for Hartley...
I didn't want to mention his name.
Well, I will. If any of you live in his electorate and vote for him, don't ask me to stand up for your rights again, even though he's in my party. He is the person I describe as the altar boy the Catholic Church rejected. He is so homophobic that it is offensive. You really should come in and listen. And you think I'm not being very gentle with him. Well, I'm not, because you should hear the sorts of things he says. It is the most pig-ignorant prejudice I've ever had to sit through in 15 years of Parliament, and he's not alone in that. It is, pigs, by the way. Well, probably is. So you'll apologise to pigs that might be offended. It is really bad. It is really low-grade stuff, and it is almost beneath contempt. But the problem is that it does recognise a point of view in the Australian community. It might be an ignorant point of view. It is absolutely a wrong point of view, but is a point of view that can only be fought by intelligent people standing up and saying intelligent things. It doesn't stand any intellectual scrutiny at all. It is ignorance, it is prejudice, It is bad, and it is generally based on the worst kind of misinformation, misinformation possible. But unfortunately, in an Australian Parliament, you don't have to have an IQ to get in there, and you don't even have to have any credible ethical standards. And some of them I frankly don't think have, and some of them the quicker I'm rid of, the better. I mean, you don't choose your party. You choose your friends in there, and some of my party aren't my friends, but Chris Hanna is, and Kate, and a few of the others.
Thanks, Mark. Kate, what about your perspective from the upper house? We've been lobbying quite extensively, and I think you've probably received close to 400 emails. And are we pissing off the upper house yet?
You've pissed off my computer. It crashed.
Yes.
Can I just also say, Mark said you don't have to have what to get into Parliament? Skills, intelligence, integrity, ethics, yeah. And there's no job description, of course, so it's interesting. Pardon the pun, but the out-and-out homophobes won the debate in the marriage legislation because they were more organised, as Mark said earlier. I think some of the lobbying from your side, your end, I think you had become a little bit complacent. I have to say, I'm not in the federal parliament, so I wasn't intimately involved in that. But even now, with this South Australian bill in the upper house, I said to Ian Purcell a while back, don't forget the upper house. Don't use up all your energy on the lower house, because with the way the balance of power sits, the Legislative Council is going to be as important. And I think it was about 5 days later that the emails started rocking in, and it's brilliant. They are in the upper house still outnumbering. In fact, I just made a new file today, for and against. And the for pile for the bill is about that high at the moment, and the against pile is significantly lower. But I'm a bit worried about Mark's comment that he received 70 opposed emails today. We'll expect a major flood.
It takes so long to delete them.
I'm such a diligent person. I'm not deleting them, I'm responding to every single one of them. I have to say I've had a few back from people who've opposed the bill saying, well, we don't agree with what you said, Kate, but thanks for at least taking the time to respond. So I will take every opportunity to put a sensible argument back to those people that are opposed. But it is out and out homophobia that these people are responding on the basis of. And yes, I think Mark's absolutely right. Come Monday and Tuesday after the Sunday sermons, we get a really bigger, much bigger flood. But in terms of gay marriage, the debate that we had on the federal bill was crap. It was supposedly logical, but in fact, when you look at it, it wasn't. It assumed that marriage can't change, or the idea of formalising unions can't change. 100 years ago, de facto was unheard of and didn't exist as a legal concept. I don't know how many years ago it was, because I'm not very good at remembering numbers. I don't do numbers or ironing. But a while back, women and children were the property of their husbands and fathers. There was no such thing as divorce. People from different races couldn't marry. Marriage can change. The idea of expressing a commitment to a partner can change. So it will in time, but what we don't want to do is create an enormous amount of very unpleasant and painful argument in the community that is going to undo the good work that you and others have done in the last 20, 30, 40 years to build that acceptance in the community. We don't want in the Parliament to be completely screwing that up. So we need the quality of debate to improve, not just in the federal parliament, but here in the South Australian Parliament in relation to this particular bill to change all of those 70-something laws. And then it's going to become even more crucial with the bill that Mark's introduced that we'll talk about later.
Perhaps we'll skip ahead to the next question. Matthew and Roxy, why do you think groups are so opposed to gay marriage? Is it biblical, or what's your perspective on that?
Well, it's interesting because when Mark flagged his civil unions bill a month back, or whenever it was exactly, there was one member of Parliament who decided, not even having read the bill yet, to come out and make a comment on it. And the first thing he said was, "Oh, this is gay marriage." To our opponents, everything is gay marriage. It doesn't matter whether they're going to be recognised as de facto partners under state legislation. It doesn't matter if it's a civil union. It doesn't matter if it's a registered partnership. Anything which recognises our relationship to them is a gay marriage. So I think that they take their opposition to a point of idiocy, and there's a certain point at which the general community, the community at large, says, well, they're really not, they've gone a bit too far here. So I don't know whether it's just biblical. Sometimes they try to argue it's biological as well, using some fairly average science. I read an interesting circular which was directed to the Premier today and circulated to all members of Parliament, which had a go at the Let's Get Equal campaign. It was from our good friends in the Festival of Light. And Ros Phillips, who has the hide to call herself a research officer, as my friend Ian Purcell was saying before, research, I don't know if she actually knows what the truth is, but Ros made the point that one of the differences between our relationships and other relationships is that after a few years we all just have casual sex and we don't have sex with our partners anymore. So I just thought people would like to know that that's the kind of rubbish that our opponents are spouting, and you know, they will go to any lengths, they will tell any lies. Ros Phillips and her ilk are liars. They don't represent the truth, and who knows why they think they do. I think it's just a great big fear. I mean, what will happen to Ros Phillips' marriage if we get recognised in South Australia? Nothing. It will still be boring and useless, I dare say.
In the last year and a bit, have been to 2 weddings, gay and lesbian. Not gay and lesbian together, gay and lesbian. The gay one was in the zoo, and it was absolutely beautiful and very camp, and the rotunda was decorated with red carpet. Those of you who were there will remember it was so lovely. And there was a disco, and people, the 2 men getting married who had been married overseas. I'm doing this for the quality of debate for you, so that you can talk about your gay marriage. And it was absolutely lovely. In fact, they read so many love letters to each other, because that's how they'd met, that some of the lesbian feminists got a bit kind of like squirmy, which is my background. 1970s monogamy was frowned upon, let alone gay marriage or lesbian marriage. The second wedding I went to was in a church with a lesbian minister and the trade union choir, and then we went to the Botanic Gardens for a proper sit-down 3-course meal, and it was at night, so we had to have security to get in there. It was divine. And then we had E-type jazz, and we danced all night. And these are, it was like a perspective of, one year I went to the Mardi Gras Film Festival in Sydney, and I went to every film that was 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock for 2 weeks. Actually, that was where I first saw you, Fanny. And I had this really skewed, sort of like real, if you like, perspective on life for a while. It was like seeing life as it should be, well, from my point of view. And going to those 2 weddings did that for me. And I mean, I'm really not, well, nobody's asked me to marry them yet, but I mean, I don't necessarily want to be married, but I really want people to have the choice, and I love going to weddings. My mum was the eldest of 12, so we went to a wedding every year, and then the daughters and the sons started getting married, so it was really great. So, you know, bring it on.
I've actually tried to work this out, because if you know what your enemy's arguments are, you can actually work out rational arguments in reply. And I frankly think the reason they're so worried about gay marriage is that for the last 50 years or so they've sat back, those who really try to practice Christianity, and they've watched the sacrament that they call marriage be destroyed. And I think marriage has been destroyed, and as we speak has been absolutely destroyed in terms of what it traditionally was. And they sat back while de facto came in. They sat back while no-fault divorce came in. They sat back while they sacrificed their institution to the point where now divorce is running at 50%, and that's of those who bother to get married. And so what the gay community then represents is the sort of tail end Charlie. Here's another erosion, they say, to this great sacred institution, when the institution is already as eroded as it can be. And the point's this: why is the institution eroded? Probably because it is no longer relevant to a world in the third millennium. I mean, old institutions fall and fail, and I think the institution of marriage, as it has been, has seen its use by date. Now, the interesting thing, no, as it has been, and I would actually, and I'll get into awful trouble with the churches for this, I know that, but one of the things that interests me among the queer community is whether in fact you want gay marriage simply because all heteros have had marriage for the last 500 years, or whether you want something that is useful and user-friendly and actually creates a new paradigm for you that suits you and your partner, whoever the partner might be. One of the things that worries me sometimes about the queer community, and this is constructive, is an inclination to try and be heterosexuals in a different form, to adopt the institutions and the definitions of the main group in society. If you are queer and proudly queer, make your own institutions, create your own paradigm, and maybe, just maybe, the heterosexual community will come bleating along behind.
So I think Roxy, who's famous in my world because she taught me about chocolate slut cake.
That's right.
I think Roxy hit the nail on the head that this is about choice, and you've been denied choice. You want to be able to make your own choices. There are some fairly confining, as Mark's pointed out, confining legal structures that have existed in the past and have kind of altered a bit now from what they were 100, 200, 500 years ago. They might have been better 500 years ago. But as long as you're denied choice, then you've got to keep on fighting.
Okay, moving on from that, I guess, Mark.
After years of feeling this place, Very sorry I got to miss your show. Next up tonight, folks, we have an Adelaide legend.
You can have them scream now, please. Okay, next.
Can you hear the guitar?
Not to hear you though.
Can you hear the mic?
Thank you.
The lights are so bright.
Maybe it's the champagne. Yes, I did write the song for Transgender Day of Remembrance, but I also started writing the song because I'm on a list with boys, and on this list, one of the guys are going through a really tough time, and it reminded me of the fact that I don't really have such a tough time in my life living my gender, and I'm very thankful for that. But I remember those who do. I think those who did have paved the way for me, and those who continue to fight the fight continue to pave the way for me. So this song's called, it's called gender diversity, because so many of the boys, so many of the guys on the list keep reminding me of the fluidity of gender, or that we can express our gender in so many different ways. But it reminds me that we can be ourselves in so many different ways. So we're hearing it for the first time, so I hope it's okay. Excuse any mistakes I make, alright? It's a champagne. And Yoda, I know you're not here, but this is for you. I lit a candle for you today. Even though I don't know your name, my heart remembered you today. Even though our paths never crossed, I felt for you today. Even though I don't know your name, but I celebrated this day for all the things that I have gained, for the way you lived your life, and the way you fought the fight. Gender diversity is here to stay. Gender diversity is here to stay. It's in the way I live my life. It's that I'm willing to fight the fight. I don't know what it feels to be persecuted. I don't know how it feels to have my life taken away. I don't know how it feels to cry sometimes, just because I don't live my life my way. But I'm so thankful
angsty teenage years and the kinds of things that he wrote with very forced rhymes and particularly bad meter, and I'm really good at writing this. And I looked at the date of this, and it's actually nearly 2 years ago that I wrote this, and it probably comes under the category of things you never thought you'd hear a guy say. This is my poem, and it was around about the time just after I'd started testosterone, and it's called Ode to My Uterus. And I know for those who aren't familiar with the process of starting on testosterone, it shuts down the organs that do the monthly thing in our body. But usually, right at the beginning, there can be a bit of what's called breakthrough bleeding. And this came after an experience of that really in my head, hence the bad poetry. And so I wrote, "Oh, uteri, one day you will die, and I will live on without you. Organ of mine, some call you divine, but we have never been friendly. Together we were born, but never was I so forlorn when I discovered just what you were. A girl, so they said, and so with some dread I tried to live up to this appellation. It never felt right, so only at night, alone, I could dream of being otherwise. My adolescence tormented, resistance fermented against the implications of being in our body. Not joy and elation. You brought me only pain and affliction, every month wrapped by torture indescribable. Trying to be something I'm not. 32 years I have wrought, making my way as a stranger in this world. I saw no way out, only to weep and shout, and resist the world's efforts to shut me back in that box. At every opportunity, you'll be there to remind me of the semantics written on this body. This space is not for rent, I cried, when the discussion implied that the reproductive urge would also come to me. I was revolted, horrified and disgusted of any part of me. I wanted you gone most of all. Some think that you define me, but I dreamed of hysterectomy. Anticipated joy of being freed from that word, woman, that I could never make fit me. Saboteur of my senses, hormone cycle and men's a monthly assault that would drive me out of my mind, homicidally inclined, poisoned by your productions and expulsions of estrogen and blood, near psychosis and possibly endometriosis. I was not pleasant to be around. In this stranger of a body that produced nothing but horror in me, I was not able to keep living like that for much longer. Transition, please. How long have I ached for this? To find a way of finally being the person, the man I truly am. Body modification rather than demonization of the flesh of which I had dissociated and denied. Testosterone. With this I can finally start feeling at home in this physical form that used to entrap and torment me. And it's true, I can be rid of you, uterus, and no coat hanger or white wire needed to mutilate. One last hurrah. You tried to mar my newfound presence of self and contentment. That blood I found has not ground me down, but strengthened my resolve, my masculinity, and my cock. Oh, uteri, one day you will die, and I shall live on without you. Thank you, Blade.
Alright, and now we've come to the end of our programme, and so Okay, folks, well, I can no longer see you at all. Well, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us tonight, and I'd like to thank everybody who contributed their wonderful talents to tonight's performance. Tom Cho, Charlie Snellis, Blade, and Gloria Williams. Thank you very much.